Everybody, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. This is great. I'm glad you're here, whether you're live watching the recording. The energy that we transmit to one another, the loving energy, the healing energy, the connection, it knows no bounds in time and space. So it's all good. So welcome to our webinar today. Three hidden risks that we would like every coach and healer to address and to be aware of so that it doesn't fester and we can get to this stuff before it's too late. So welcome. Glad you're all here. And we're going to make sure today that your purpose, your drive is protected, your passion is protected, is just as much as we work to protect your clients. And so I'd love to know if folks want to drop it in the chat. Where are you from? Or if you want to shout it out, that's cool with me too, or drop it in the chat. Where is everybody coming from today? And what do you do? Do you consider yourself a coach, a healer, therapist, doctor, business owner? How do you like to, what sort of identification do you like to use? Or do you not like labels at all? That's fine. Because honestly, we're all here to help bring love and healing to the world in one way or another. So it's all good. I'm Ian Foster. I'm an attorney. I'm a business coach and an energetic healer. And I am coming to you today from beautiful Clovis, California, in the middle of the Central Valley, where the fall is one of the best times to be here. Otherwise, it gets pretty hot. So it's a beautiful fall day, lots of colors outside, and it's looking nice. Oh, and I see a kitten. There is my lovely wife. Charmaine, so glad you're here. It's been a little while. From Houston, shaman, business owner, and educator. Fabiana from Austin, Texas. Angeline from my old stomping grounds, my town, Fremont, East Bay. Go East Bay. There we go. Lifestyle wellness coach. Central Texas. Lots. Look at this. Marty, we know you're from Texas. Look at all this. Texas is representing hard today. Look at that. Raleigh, North Carolina, holistic energy healer, hypnosis, intuitive coaching and teaching. That's awesome. Phyllis, currently Louisiana, holistic RN, mystic. I love it. I love it. Mystic, intuitive energy worker. Rudri from LA, EFT and tapping coach. Heather in Texas, balance and serenity, health and wellness coaching. Beautiful. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. Glad you're all here. And let's go ahead and talk about this. Why does this matter today? What do we do? Why are we here? Well, I see a lot of practitioners in the coaching healing industry, and even sometimes in the more clinical industries of licensed healthcare. A lot of us are givers, right? We're givers. We're codependents. We want to please. We share a lot of those same traumas, and we end up loving being givers. But we are not so good always about receiving, and not as good about guarding our energy. And the cost of being unprotected, legally, energetically, ethically, it leads to things like burnout, confusion, legal issues that could be avoided. And so let's talk about it. Let's uncover the kinds of things we might not see coming, and how we can take some action. So ask yourself as we go through this, are you protected legally? Are you protected ethically? Are you protected energetically? And remember that protecting yourself is also protecting your clients. You can be selfish a little bit so that you can be selfless. Focus on yourself and guarding yourself and your energy and your business and your ethics. And that enables you to be the giver that you want to be. It enables you to spread that love that you want to spread. Do I know where my boundaries begin and end? That can be a tough question, right? Personally, I'm not always a great boundary setter. I love to connect with people. I love to give. My traumas make me want to lean towards codependency and give and make other people happy. So I have had to learn recently in my life how to set better boundaries. This is a lesson I've been learning and something I'm trying to do better. So I'm certainly not perfect in this. None of us are. So think about your boundaries. Would your practice survive misunderstandings, legal misunderstandings, ethical misunderstandings, simple communication issues? Would it survive energy drain? What happens if you feel drained energetically because you're not feeling guarded and protected, feeling unsafe? So let's discover a legal oversight that puts people at risk when you're not thinking about it. And we're going to talk about setting healthy energetic boundaries that can prevent our burnout so that we can keep serving and doing the good work we want to do, as well as some hidden ethical gray areas that a lot of coaches and healers miss. And if you have any questions as we're going along, you can please drop them in the chat anytime. You can raise your hand, and if I'm able, if I'm not in too much of a role, we can call on you. So let me know if you have any questions as we go along, and we will do some Q&A at the end as well. So the number one legal oversight I see is a simple lack of clarity, especially with our clients, not having that clarity. And this happens often not on purpose. We don't set out to be unclear or ambiguous. We make a lot of assumptions about what other people are thinking. We interpret what we hear from other people through our own lenses. Have you ever had a conversation with someone you get along with really well? You're in alignment with this person, you love them, and you communicate well with them, and yet at the end of the conversation, you two have totally different interpretations of what just happened. If you're a human, I'm assuming you've had that experience. I know I have. And why? Because we are, as much as we love this person, as much as we're connected with them, as well as we work with them, we are still each interpreting things through our own lenses. And so we end up with a lack of clarity because of the assumptions we make. And without that clarity, we're vulnerable to all kinds of stuff. Disputes about our payments and refunds, disputes about the services we're supposed to provide or not supposed to provide, uncomfortable misunderstandings that lead to difficult conversations we might have to have with clients, and erosion of our professional credibility. Clarity can create credibility. Lack of clarity hurts your credibility. So just keep that in mind. So what do we do to make it clear? We put it in writing. Some of you have been around me long enough, you know that I don't like to give yes and no answers. I don't like to speak in absolutes. My most common answers to all your questions as an attorney and business coach are things like, I don't know and it depends. Because those are my honest answers in the moment. And I'm not going to make something up. That doesn't help you. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help anybody. So I often say, I don't know and it depends. But if your answer is, should I put this thing in writing? Or if your question is, should I put this thing in writing? My answer is yes. It's always yes. This is one of those few instances where I have a yes, a hard yes, a 100% yes. Put it in writing. Should I put this agreement in writing? Should I put this contract in writing? Should I put this policy in writing? Yes, yes, yes. Always put it in writing. Please always put it in writing. I don't need to know generally what it is. They're going to be the exceptions to this are few and far between, and in those cases, I would be advising you personally on it anyway. But if you're thinking, do I put my client agreement in writing? Yes. Do I put my business operating agreement in writing? Yes. Do I put my privacy policy in writing? Yes. Do I put my disclaimers in writing? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Put these things in writing. And have a written and signed client agreement with everybody. Now, when I say signed, I do not mean it necessarily has to be pen on paper. You guys remember the days we had these little skinny things that had ink in them, and we would scribble on them with our hands like the ancients. Okay, some of us still do it. I have been learning again to write with my hand after 30 years of typing on the computer. I've been trying over the last few months. A few months ago, my handwriting was utterly illegible. Now it's sort of legible as I'm learning how to write with my hand again. But it doesn't have to be signed on a piece of paper. It can be signed electronically. It can be an email back and forth saying it's an express agreement. It can be a checkbox on your checkout page. The point is, get someone to affirmatively agree to it in some fashion. Make sure you have clear disclaimers in your business. And some of these will be included in your agreement. Some of them will be on your website. Some of them will be in your client bill of rights or things you hand out when you see your clients virtually or in person, but disclaimers about the nature of your services, the things you do and don't do, the things you can keep private and you cannot keep private, all that good stuff. Make sure when you're writing all this down, you have well-defined payment and refund policies. Nothing gets in the way of a great relationship, whether it's friends, family, or clients, like a dispute over money. It has a way of getting in the way of all kinds of relationships. So make sure you have well-defined payment and refund policies. And I'm not here today to tell you what those policies should be. We have in other workshops and resources where we dig deep into that. But whatever policy you have that's in alignment with you and your clients, make sure it's written down and clear. and have a strong privacy policy. Make sure clients know that you're going to keep things private and how you're going to keep them private. Make sure they know what the exceptions are, so when their information might be released with or without their consent. Either way, whatever that policy is, again, make it clear, put it in writing. Now let's talk about our energetic boundaries. And this is something that doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't get talked enough about in our industry of light workers and transformational leaders, coaches, healers, whatever you want to call us. There's a hidden energy drain if we don't set these boundaries. These boundaries are like, putting a levee around a river to make sure that the river doesn't overflow and flood the grounds it's not supposed to flood. So we need to have some clear energetic boundaries, and we need to learn to uphold them consistently. Otherwise, our energy just drains away. And this can involve taking on your client's emotions and struggles. Do any of you do this? Are any of you natural empaths like I am? I know a lot of us here are natural empaths. It is very easy to literally feel someone else's pain and emotions, or their pleasure, right? Not just pain, just feel what they're feeling. It's easy to take it on, what they're feeling and what they're struggling with. And you can see how that would be a drain on our energy. It's easy to start feeling responsible for everybody's healing or their results or their journey, when really someone's healing journey is their own journey and their own responsibility. But we tend to, as givers and codependents and people pleasers who get into this to go out there and help everybody, we want to think it's our job to save folks. It is not our job to save folks. It is not our job to fix people. It is not our job to heal people. People can only save and fix and heal themselves if and when they're ready to do it and to put in the work. And you are simply there as a guide as they put in the hard work. But I get it. I do it all the time. It's really easy to take on that responsibility as though it's somehow your fault. Carrying energy that isn't ours. You might have a client or two come into a session and their energy is off. They've had a bad day. They're annoyed. They're angry. They're feeling crunchy, as my therapist likes to put it. She says, "Are you feeling crunchy today?" Maybe they're feeling crunchy, and then maybe you start feeling crunchy, and you take on that energy. Or one of the things they're working through, whether you're coaching them on your business or healing them of, working on some emotional trauma, whatever it might be, that might bring up a lot of energy, which they are going to feel and express, which is great. They should be feeling and expressing it. That's sort of the whole point. Otherwise, they can't work through it. And it's easy for us as their coaches and healers to take that energy on. So we have to be careful about not taking it on. If you are not sure if you've been doing this sort of thing, if you want to check in on whether you've been setting some good energetic boundaries, look at how you're feeling. After you see clients, whether it's a one-on-one session, in groups, whatever it might be, are you feeling great? Are you feeling energized? Are you feeling accomplished and ready to tackle the next project? Or maybe are you feeling tired? Do you feel some fatigue? Are you feeling irritable or apathy? That's a huge red flag if you feel apathy, like you don't care about the next project or the next client. Little brain fog, trouble focusing, some emotional heaviness, those are symptoms that you might not be setting good energetic boundaries. So try to take stock of how you feel after each client, after each workshop, after each event, whatever it might be that you're running, however you're serving, and take stock of how you're feeling. And that will tell you whether you're setting good energetic boundaries. When these boundaries blur, as we said, we start to absorb the client's emotions and experiences. These are emotions and experiences that don't belong to us. They aren't ours. And we start to lose our own energetic balance. And our energetic balance is constantly, it's a balance. It's tricky, right? It's delicate. We have to maintain it deliberately. And then our compassion for our clients, we start out with all kinds of compassion for our clients, and we're so excited to serve them and help them and guide them. But when these boundaries blur, that compassion starts to turn into exhaustion and pretty soon in resentment. Have you ever felt exhausted or felt yourself resenting your clients or resenting to need to see a client? That's a sign that you're not protecting yourself energetically. And that resentment, of course, means that client is not getting the service that they deserve from you. So it's something we want to be careful on. So think of your energy and keeping it clean as some professional self-care. And remember, like I said, be a little selfish so that you can be selfless. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. So a few things to keep in mind, some simple practices that you can use. Make sure you ground before and after sessions. If you don't have some grounding techniques, learn some. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. There's no right and wrong way. For me, my grounding often involves literally getting barefoot and walking on the grass or the dirt. It involves calling in the energy of Mother Earth to connect to my root chakra, calling the energy from above to connect to my crown chakra. It can involve box breathing and meditating and simply quieting my mind. There are lots of ways to ground yourself before and after you work with clients. Again, whether it's one-on-one or in groups. I do both one-on-one and groups, depending on the circumstance. Make sure you have gaps between your appointments. When you're setting up your calendar, a lot of us use scheduling software. It will let you, set up those gaps. You can tell it, make sure I have 15 minutes between appointments so that you are not running back to back. You don't want to be trying to rush a client off of one session so that you can get to the next session that's starting right away. And this can be true again, whether you're in person, virtual, however it might be. So keep some gaps in between when you're working with clients and use that as a chance to kind of break whatever's happening in the moment. Move your body, change your scenery, get out of the room, get a drink of water or a cup of tea or whatever you feel the need for. Just kind of move around and change what's happening in the moment to kind of reset yourself. Use whatever cleansing rituals work for you. These could be physical, they could be energetic. For me, I find it cleansing to journal. I journal all the time, so sitting there and just putting my pen in my hand and just letting it go, not even directing it with anything in mind, but just getting out whatever feelings and thoughts I have. Sometimes it comes out like nonsense, and that's okay. That's not the point. This is not something I'm going to turn in to get graded. This is not even something I'm necessarily going to come back and read later. Just let it go, get it out. Move your body, stretch, yoga. Maybe pick up just a couple of little light weights and use it to work your muscles a little. Stand up and sit down. Just make sure you're moving. Salt baths. I love salt baths as a great cleansing ritual. Whatever meditations you have, if you don't have these sort of rituals and meditations, you can learn them. There's a ton of them out there, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. Now, if you set healthy boundaries, you can really protect your energy, which again means you're going to help your clients even more. And you want to make sure you set these boundaries early in the client relationship. If you don't early in the client relationship, if the client is constantly crossing boundaries you would like to have in place, then it becomes difficult to set them later on because the client's thinking, well, I was always able to text you at this time and you always responded and you always gave me an extra 5 minutes or this extra thing, or you gave me a break here or a break there, or you let me talk about this other issue with you. Once the client gets used to that, and again, this is no knock on the client. There's nothing wrong with them. We're the ones who didn't set the boundary in the first place. Now it becomes very difficult to impose those boundaries or even to ask for them because the client's thinking, what the heck? Everything's changing all of a sudden. For the client, it can feel like a sense of abandonment or detachment or just a shock to their system. So really work on setting healthy boundaries with your clients early in the client relationship. Make it clear when you will and won't respond to them. You do not have to jump when somebody says jump. You do not have to pick up your phone and answer every call. You do not have to answer every text. You do not have to do every request. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to be hard for some of you to hear. No is a complete sentence. How's that? How often do we practice that? No is a complete sentence. And it's a complete sentence that sets a boundary and is healthy for you. And so make it clear up front. When can they reach out to you? When can they not? On what time frame would you respond? Are you working regular hours or are you running a crisis practice that runs 24/7? What are the time frames? What are you going to do for them? What are you not going to do for them? Make sure you set these boundaries in place to protect yourself and ultimately your clients. And then keep to that schedule. Be consistent. There's going to be exceptions, and that's fine. There's going to be emergencies, but keep to those boundaries And then, of course, stay in your lane. Set those boundaries for yourself. I'm really good at A, B, and C, so I'm going to do A, B, and C. And I'll let somebody else do X, Y, and Z because they're good at that. I'm not going to try and fake it and do something that I'm not good at. So stay in your lane. Now let's talk about some ethics traps when we fall into these ethical gray areas. You can have coaching and healings that starts to feel like therapy, or that starts to feel like medical advice or legal advice or financial or accounting advice. We were just talking a moment ago about staying in your lane, right? So that becomes a gray area. And if, what's the difference between coaching and healing and therapy and legal advice and business of it? This is why we call it a gray area. There's not a lot of bright lines there. There are extremes on both sides, and in the middle, we have a huge gray area. So watch out for that ethical gray area. Watch out for emotional codependency with your clients. Again, a lot of us want to give, and we are people pleasers. Some of us have become codependents and have had to work through that and our own codependency issues. Make sure that you and the client are not in a codependent relationship. We often tend to think of codependency in like romantic relationships, but codependency is not remotely limited romantic relationships. It can be with friendships, with work colleagues, and yes, with your clients. Absolutely. So if you find yourself feeling like you're responsible to keep your client happy, or your client starting to think they're responsible to keep you happy, there might be an emotional codependency. So watch out. That also means that you probably didn't set healthy energetic boundaries up front. And it means that you might be straying into an ethical gray area where the client is overly reliant on you. Be careful about promising more than you deliver. And this, again, is kind of like staying in your lane. Think of the things you're good at and the things you're not good at, and stick to the things you're good at. If somebody else is good at the other things, refer your client to that other person. You don't have to be the end all be all for your client. You can serve them in the way that you are good at serving them and meant to serve them, and let other people do their jobs as well and trust them to do their jobs. So don't promise stuff that's outside of your scope or outside of your area of expertise. And also don't promise results that you can't control. This goes back to like feeling responsible for our clients' healing, for their business income results, for their personal wellness, for me feeling responsible for the legal outcome of their cases, or the outcome of their IRS audit. There's so many things you can't control and you are not responsible for. So don't promise outcomes that you have no control over delivering. I want to talk about consent too. There is an ethical issue when we fail to obtain explicit consent. Now, when we have folks sign the client agreement or whatever, again, may not be literally signed, maybe figuratively, but they're affirmatively agreeing to it. Make sure you're getting explicit consent for everything you plan to do. And then if you're going to switch it up, get extra consent midstream. If you're going to do something new that they're not used to, make sure you get consent at that time. I see this sometimes with healers working with in-person clients, and they may be doing a modality that does not involve touch, physical touch. It's a hands-off approach, but they're in person in the same office. And then the healer realizes that they have a tool in their toolkit that could really help this client in this moment, but it involves putting hands on the client. Don't just put hands on the client. It could be traumatizing for that person. Now, touch, physical touch is my love language. So great, let's lay on hands and let's do this. Let's figure it out. But that's not the same for everybody, right? Not everybody's going to welcome that. Or even those who do might be surprised by it or might need to warm up to it or get used to it. So you then need to say, may I lay hands on you? I have a tool that may really help you, and it involves touch. And is that okay? And make sure you get that consent anytime you switch things up. Most of these ethical violations are unintentional, and that's okay. And they come from unclear legal boundaries, unclear ethical boundaries, and unclear energetic boundaries that lead us into this stuff. Having clear ethics is going to protect your integrity, protect your business. It's going to build trust in your clients. And it does this by empowering your clients, really, when you have these clear ethical boundaries, because you want your clients to be aware of everything and make conscious decisions for what they're accepting, what they're not accepting, what they're doing and not doing, and know what they're getting into. And so when you have really clear ethics and boundaries with your clients, you are respecting their agency, their ability to choose for themselves whether they want to work with you and how they want to work with you and how they want to move forward. You're respecting their autonomy, their ability to make their own decisions in their life and decide what's best for them. And you're respecting their energy just like you're protecting your energy. It also makes sure that your work is aligned with your values. A lot of us have values like trust and honesty and integrity. And making sure our work is aligned with those values means having clear ethics in place. It also protects your professional reputation. You want to be known as someone who has good integrity and strong ethics and clear ethical boundaries. That is attractive to the sort of people who are going to want to work with you. So how do we stay ethically aligned? A lot of it's sort of a constant check-in with yourself. Ask yourself, am I within my professional limits? Again, stay in your lane, stay in your scope of practice. Think of what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you can help people with, and what should require referring out. Are you empowering your clients? Are you respecting their autonomy, their energy, their integrity, their choice? Or are you actually helping them become more dependent on you? Or you becoming dependent on them? And this is a constant check-in. This is not just something to ask yourself today. Ask it again next week and the week after that. Keep yourself on track. Ask whether your service to your clients is a reflection of perhaps your ego or your fear or your anxiety, or you serving from alignment, from your values. And keep checking in with that, because sometimes you're going to come back and think, well, shoot, I am serving from ego today, or I am serving out of my own anxiety. And that's not in alignment. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with checking in and thinking, ooh, crap, I'm out of alignment. I need to fix this. That's normal. That's why we do the check-in. And remember, your ethics, your integrity, it's not a restriction on you. It's a reflection of who you are and who you want to be and how you want to serve. So just to recap what we talked about, the legal oversight is basically lack of clarity, which means lack of structure, lack of clear documentation. We talked about energetic drain, which means blurred personal boundaries. And we talked about ethical missteps, which means acting outside of our integrity, outside of alignment, or beyond the scope of what we're supposed to be doing. And together, these create a ripple effect that impacts how confidently we can serve and how passionately we can serve. Does anyone have any questions real quick? You can drop it in the chat if you do, if you raise your hand. Well, good, that's cool. Hopefully this all makes some sense for everybody. So if you want to be a practitioner who's aligned, make sure you're protected on every level. And again, this protects you and it protects your clients. So making sure that you are serving with grounded confidence, that you're attracting aligned clients. And yes, sometimes that means filtering out the clients who are not aligned or not a good fit for you energetically or professionally or whatever it might be. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you're not an aligned fit right now, and that's okay. It means you can grow without getting burned out because you are protecting that energy. And it helps you sustain your purpose and your passion so you can keep serving people for years to come. So for those who are ready to go deeper, today's session gave you some awareness of what we're looking at in terms of protecting our practice, protecting our passion, our livelihood, and our ability to serve. But the real protection comes from actually doing something about it. We can learn a lot about this today. We can have the tools in our toolkit, but we have to use them. For a long time, when I wasn't paying attention to my own mental health, I had a lot of tools in my toolkit that I was using to help clients, but I wasn't using them on myself. It was amazing when I realized one day, oh my gosh, these tools actually work. Maybe I should start using them too. I have to actually implement and make something happen. Holy cow, there's a reason these tools have been helping my clients all these years. They work. And so this implementation using tools that actually work, this is what we're going to do inside our Protect Your Livelihood workshop. It's coming up this Saturday, November 8th. And so this Saturday, we're going to learn to understand risk in a soulful or heart-centered business. And we're going to talk about what risk actually means and what it doesn't mean, and why risk does not have to be a scary word. We're going to talk about making leveraged decisions, in other words, choices that give you and your business and your clients the most benefit. We're going to talk about risk analysis and what I like to call thinking in bets. In other words, thinking in a sense like a poker player. I'm a poker player. I know there are a few other poker players here. There's a lot to learn from poker about risk analysis, and so we call it thinking in bets. We're going to talk about how we can reframe our risk management, which is kind of it's not a very sexy word. It's kind of a boring word, maybe a little scary word. Let's call it energetic hygiene, because that's really what it is for those of us in the transformational energy industry. So we're going to reframe that. And we're going to learn about some of the basic legal foundations that keep you and your clients safe, why you need solid written contracts and disclaimers, along with a few things you might want to make sure you put in there, how we can make sure we are all staying in our lane and keeping within our expertise, how we can protect our clients' privacy, and some of that back end stuff in our business that we need to manage, why it's important to have a business entity in place, why it's important to do your accounting and taxes right, why it's important to have insurance, all that good stuff. And we're going to talk about proper ethical and energetic boundaries. We did a quick overview today. This weekend, we're going to go much deeper on that stuff. So we're going to talk about how to be aware of our client dynamics. That means the dynamic between us and our clients, and between our clients if we're doing things in groups or have our clients working together with each other. How do we manage client crises and watch out for emotional dependency when it happens? How do we set safe boundaries on how and when you serve your clients? And how do we release and transmute our clients' energy? We're going to get into a lot more detail on how to do all that stuff. And then we're going to work on a protection plan going forward. We're going to get a checklist to help you implement this stuff and actually talk about practical, immediate steps you could take, and see if we can all come together and commit to some steps we're going to take right away in the following week to improve our legal, ethical, and energetic protection. And so you get all of that. It's going to be done live on Zoom in a non-judgmental community of coaches and healers. Several of you are part of my regular second Saturday workshops we do every second Saturday. And so you know how great this is in community. So much better in community than just having me lecture at you for a couple hours. Look, I'm happy to lecture at you for a couple hours. I'm a former government lawyer. I'm good at it. I enjoy it. But I'm going to charge you a lot of money for it, and you're not going to get as much out of it as you are if you come do this together. It's going to be much more affordable, and you're going to get more out of it if we do this all together. So we're going to do this live together on Zoom, totally non-judgmental. There's lots of love in that room all the time. Those who are members and come every month can attest to that. You're going to get lots of practical Q&A. We do a ton of Q&A time in here, certainly much more than we're able to do on these free webinars where time is limited. We have a lot more time at our disposal. So a lot of great Q&A. So you're going to learn from your peers who are there as well. You're also going to get printable slides so you can take notes. You're going to get the printable checklist, like we said, so we can actually make a plan, and full recordings. So if you can't make it, if you can only make part of it, or if you just want to rewatch it later, you're going to get the full recordings. And you get all that for one low payment of $247 coming up this weekend. I'm going to drop a sign up link in the chat for those who want to do it. Where did it go? There's my sign up link. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about anything we talked about today. Now, if you are already a member of the second Saturday workshop, you're already a subscriber, you are already in this, right? So you do not need to sign up separately. You already have access to this. Don't worry about it. If you're not part of the regular subscription, then you can sign up for this one and check it out. You can see if this workshop is something you like, and you can learn more about the other stuff we do. Any questions from everybody?
Do we get the slides from today?
No, I will be sending out a recording from today, but not the slides.
Ian, what is your second Saturday that you keep mentioning?
Yes. So I chose that super boring name because it was the most accurate descriptor I could think of what we do. So the second Saturday of every month, so that's coming up in a few days, we get together in group and we talk about the most important legal, ethical things we need to set up as heart-centered business owners, as coaches and healers. So we talk about how to form and use your business property, how to write your contracts, how to get good confidentiality policies in place, how to do your taxes right. Today or this weekend, we're going to talk about risk management, but again, risk management is not a sexy title, so we've come up with other titles for it, but it's about protecting ourselves and our livelihood. So we do this every second Saturday. It's a different subject, and some folks join for one or two, and some folks join for the whole year. So if you're not part of that, this Saturday is actually a great intro to what we do because it kind of is a good overview of a lot of the things we cover over the year, but kind of from a different perspective. So you can check it out and see if it's the right fit for you.
Do you have a link for that?
Yeah, so I'll drop a link in the chat again to sign up for just now, and then let me get you another link so you can see kind of the entire schedule if you're curious.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
The stuff we cover. Mhm. Thanks, Bob. Good to see you as always. Great. Well, I appreciate everyone. I'm very grateful for all of you, and I hope to see all of you soon.